right, welcome back to another After Dark, everybody. Hope you all are having a good day so far. Hope you guys had a wonderful night. I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Guys, I had a request to check this one out from the member section. This is from one of my favorite content creators right now. At 1.74 thousand subscribers, Eric Smith Sports Training, and this one is titled Prime Warriors or Prime Bulls, in-depth case. And we got almost a 30-minute video here, guys, so strap in, grab a drink, grab a snack, all that good stuff. If you time to have some dinner, maybe now's the time, all that good stuff. This should be very interesting to hear this breakdown. Me, in my opinion, I think the Bulls would take this really because of the defense. The defense that was going on with the Bulls during that time was insane, and that's the one advantage that they truly have. Then you go to the conversation, who's going to guard Steph? Well, yeah, we should be okay, honestly, because defensively, you can stick Harp on him. If that's not working out, you can trade off with MJ, stick MJ on him, whenever you get tired of chasing him around. And Kevin Durant, well, he's going to be guarded by Pippen, and if you need some relief, you're going to throw Dennis Rodman on him. So, can you completely shut this team down? No. But you can sure make those three-pointers highly contested, and I think that's what the Bulls would do. And as far as the Warriors go, they got a big problem with rebounds. Dennis Rodman's going to kill him. And who the hell's going to guard Jordan? That's the real question. Because, Jordan is an offensive juggernaut. He can also guard your best player. You can't really say that about Steph Curry, and you can't say that about Kevin Durant. So who's going to guard Jordan? Draymond's going to be stuck on Pippen or Rodman, more likely. But either way, who's guarding Jordan? Is it Clay? It's got to be Clay, right? But can Clay really handle MJ? I don't think so. Anyways, that's my assessment. Who do I think would win? I think it would be the Bulls. I think it would be the Bulls in 6. That's really what I think. So to not discredit the Golden State Warriors at all, but this Bulls team wasn't going to lose. So I'd say Bulls in 6 that year. Anyways, you guys, as I always do, I'm linking the original video down below in the description. Highly recommend you go over and check out Eric's channel. Subscribe over there if you haven't. And let's do this. Shout out to members. Appreciate you all. And like the vid if you could. Hit that hype button if you could. All that good stuff. I think we're ready. All right. Hopefully you got your snacks and your drink. I got some water. Let's go.
What's up, guys? This video has been in the works for a while. I've been seeing people talking crazy about this topic for quite some time. So it's been building in my mind to make a video about this. Now, first a caveat. Obviously, we will never see these teams play each other, and stats are only half the story. But I believe there's a lot of recency bias in this topic, and it's time to get to the facts and get to the truth. The fact is, there are several massive factors that are consistently left out in this debate, and no, it's not whether Steve Kerr is allowed to coach and play at the same time. These factors are mentality, experience, and basketball IQ. So alright guys, buckle your seatbelts, let's get into it.
That is a cool thing. That's a cool flex Steve Kerr has. He's on both sides of this argument, one as a player and one as a coach.
The way I'd like to do this is most people think the Warriors 2016-17 team with KD is the best team of all time. But their 2015-2016 team was the best team of all time by regular season record. The Bulls 96 team had the best overall win percentage if you include the playoffs. So I'd like to cover the Bulls season and then compare them to both Warriors teams pre and post KD, and then we'll sort of combine them so we leave no doubt on the truth. Okay, so first let's discuss the personnel for the 2015-2016 Warriors. They were fresh coming off a championship win and were the odds-on favorites again with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson firmly established in the middle of their primes. These are the top minute getters on the Warriors that season, with the highest being Draymond Green, followed by the Splash Brothers, Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala, Andrew Bogut, and the unsung hero of that team, Shaun Livingston.
Also, shout out, they were playing games. 81 for Dre, 79 for Steph, 80 for Klay. I like it. And it wasn't that, it was 10 years ago, huh? A lot has changed.
Now, the first thing that stands out after the dominance of the Splash Brothers that season is the lack of any offensive threat from the center position. However, Andrew Bogut was one of the 4 or 5 best rim protectors in the league that year, and his role will definitely come up later in this video. Steph goes on.
Sorry, I just have to do it. Guys, this Warriors team is known as one of the fastest paced teams. Why were they able to play so many games, but now we're not able to anymore all of a sudden because the game is fast? That team was playing balls to the wall speed every single game. And they were defending a championship, which means they should be tired. If any team should be tired, it's them. But the Stars still showed up. Riddle me that.
Averaged 30.1 points per game and wins unanimous MVP. Now, you can argue which of Draymond Green's years was his best year, but I believe he was at his best this year, and the stats seemingly back this up. He averaged 14, 9, and 7, and he was elite defensively, often guarding the opposing team center only 6'7". He was adept at setting wildly illegal screens for the Splash Brothers. He also really worked on his shot to get almost up to 39% from 3, granted many of which were absolutely wide open from playing alongside Curry. While perhaps a topic for a future video about how I believe Draymond Green is absolutely not a Hall of Famer, this is really my issue with Draymond. He's extremely vocal critiquing other players around the NBA while he himself worked hard that one offseason to fix his shot, and then promptly has not improved a single aspect of his offensive game and has in fact gotten worse in nearly every facet and has had teams helping off him to double his elite teammate.
I'm impressed he didn't get traded just now in this most recent trade deadline. I thought that was it. I agree with you. The thing is I don't think any of us actually like Draymond as a person or a human. I'm sorry if it sounds harsh. I don't think any of us do. Let me know if you disagree and you want to be like Draymond's best friend. I doubt any of you do. But I've always defended what he means to the team, what he means to the flow of the offense, what he means defensively too. He is a crucial part of the team. But yeah, I know he could be so much better. He could be improving his weaknesses. He could be working on his temper so he doesn't get ejected so often and let down his team. There's a lot of things he could do better. But it turns out it's hard to replace a guy like him.
It's for almost a decade now. But like I said, that's another video for when he retires.
Do it.
In this season, he was elite. Now let's look briefly at the Warriors season before we get to the Bulls, and then we'll talk about how these teams match up. Steve Kerr, who will be covered ironically for both of these teams, was just coming into his own Hall of Fame resume as a coach, as a defending champion. But he had long been hampered by back problems and finally relented to have a major surgery.
I love it. I love it.
He was out the first 43 games. So the Warriors turned to young up-and-coming assistant and former Laker Luke Walton to be interim coach. Known as a great passer, connector, and assist king on the Lakers when he played with Kobe,
yeah, he was good.
Luke helped push an already elite offense to even greater heights, as the Warriors' assist numbers and offensive firepower was unprecedented. Although backed by Clay, Draymond, and Bogut to a 5th-ranked defensive rating that year, their offense was ranked first, backed by questionable screens, great passing, and lights-out shooting. The Warriors had their 29th game with 30 assists by their 55th game, breaking their franchise record. They started off an NBA record 24-0 and were 39-4 by the time Kerr was able to resume head coaching duties. Coincidentally, whether there are those that think that Steve Kerr is a bit overrated as a coach like I do, or those that think he's in the coach GOAT conversation, the fact that the Warriors went 39-4 without him and 33-5 with him is interesting food for thought.
That is interesting food for thought. You're right. I'll always wonder what the team would have become under Mark Jackson being the head coach. We'll never get to see. And I can't answer the question if Steve Kerr is overrated until I see him coach without Steph Curry on his team. You know, it's just like if Phil Jackson would have retired after coaching the Bulls, I would have never been able to say how great of a coach he is. But he won 5 championships after the Bulls. So you can't just say, you know, oh, you're lucky you had Jordan. Is he lucky he had Jordan? Hell yeah, just like he's lucky he had Shaq and he had Kobe. But the thing is, he does know how to form, a winning team. We can't say that about Steve Kerr yet. I could say it about Popovich. I could say it about Riley, guys like that. But we'll see about Kerr in the future.
about how important coaches really are versus the impact of the players. But again, a topic for another video. The Warriors had a 54-game home winning streak dating back to the previous season.
Wow.
And finally lost at home to the Celtics 109-106 to drop to 34-1 for that season. They became the first team to record 1,000 threes in a season when they won their 69th game. They went into the finale needing a win against the Memphis Grizzlies to set the record, and they pulled it off in style, winning 125-104 to achieve the best record in NBA history at 73-9. And Steph, like we said, went on to win unanimous MVP. Now the playoffs are equally important, so we will compare their playoffs in a second. But first, let's get to the 95-96 Chicago Bulls. Everyone has heard the story about how when Michael Jordan came back from baseball early in 95, he was working his way back into top shape during the playoffs and got the ball stolen by Nick Anderson, contributing to a 4-2 series loss to Shaq and the Orlando Magic. MJ, of course, took it personal and went crazy that offseason while also filming Space Jam. In addition, the Bulls brought in Dennis Rodman, one of the greatest rebounding and defensive specialists of all time, after he spectacularly flamed out in San Antonio in a barrage of off-court antics and technical fouls. Many former Bulls players have talked about that being the most intense and locked-in training camp they had ever been a part of, led by the pissed-off Michael Jordan. The Bulls started
while he's recording Space Jam as well.
at a ridiculous 41-3, including 37-0 at home. Michael Jordan came back with a vengeance, averaging 30 points a game. Really quick, also a topic for another video, but I always hear in the GOAT debate, LeBron James is a better three-point shooter than Michael Jordan. Well, actually, if you watch the games, Michael Jordan talked about how he mostly avoided shooting threes because it took away from his aggressive mindset.
My three-point shooting is something that I don't want to excel at because it takes away from all phases of my game. My game is a fake drive to the hole, penetrate, dish off, dunk, whatever. And when you have that mentality, as I found out in the first game, of making threes, you don't go to the hole as much. You go to the three-point line and you start sitting there waiting for someone to find you. And that's not my mentality.
So in the beginning of his
it's one of those, it's not that I can't, it's that I choose not to. And if you think, oh, you're just a Jordan shill, go watch the 92 finals and shut up.
Career, the vast majority were late shot clock bailouts or half-court heaves, and he attempted less than one per game. But fun fact, want to know what Michael Jordan shot as a percentage from three the only 5 years that he attempted over 1.9 attempts per game?
Do it.
39.7%. Including shooting 50% this season.
That's my dog.
But back to the Bulls season.
That's my dog.
They finished 72-10, setting the record.
And I say it all the time, and it is what it is. That's why it's crucial that he says, like, when he's shooting more than one a game or whatever, 1 point something a game, because that one a game, guess what that one a game was, guys? It was 99% an end of the quarter shot. So you got like 2 seconds left and the first quarter, the second quarter, or the third quarter is about to end. Give the ball to MJ, let him shoot a half court shot. So when you see in that percentage is still like reasonable, that means he's hitting ridiculous buzzer beater shots just because he's that guy. And he wasn't worried about his percentages. That wasn't him. He's trying to win. He wants 3 more points to help his team. So when he actually did start getting into flow and shooting threes, what did we see? 39.7% when he actually cared, and he still wasn't shooting a bunch of them. He was just shooting a couple a game at this point, at least.
Record at the time that was later broken by these Warriors. Whereas the Warriors finished as the top-rated offensive team and the 5th-rated defensive team, the Bulls finished as the top-rated defensive and offensive team. So on the regular season, I give the Warriors a slight edge for the record and the Bulls the edge for the overall two-way performance as a team.
Totally agree. That defense is the whole thing that's going to break it. If it was just offense versus offense, I'd give the win to the Warriors because Jordan can't score 120 points on his own. Like it's just not going to happen, you guys. But when you factor in defense, those Warriors are not scoring 115 points. They're not scoring 120 points. That is not going to happen. So can the Bulls put up in a high-paced game? Can the Bulls put up about 105 to 110? Absolutely, they would.
With the slight tiebreaker having to go to the Warriors because they did set the record. Now we get to the playoffs where everything really counts. As both Michael Jordan and Steph Curry stated during these seasons, the regular season records mean nothing if you don't win the championship.
Yep.
I think we all want to be on the positive side of history. I think so far we've been that, with 72 wins, all the consecutive winnings of games that we've won. But by no means do we want to do all that and then be the team that lose to the Seattle Supersonics in the finals. And I'm pretty sure that'll be marked in history too. So that's one side of history we certainly don't want to be a part of. And I think that's part of the motivation for a lot of the guys, especially myself, to try to get this thing.
Just like it will always remember Tom Brady and the Patriots with Randy Moss, like the ultimate football team, the best football team I may have ever seen in my life, going undefeated in the whole regular season, undefeated in the playoffs, just to lose to the wild card New York Giants in the Super Bowl. And yes, I bring it up all the time because I can't believe it happened. And you can never get that moment back. Like, that went from the Cinderella perfect season to an embarrassment because of losing in a big game.
Warriors.
Don't mean anything without the ring, right?
Now, Steph Curry did sprain his MCL and missed the second half of their first round series against the Rockets and the first half of their second round series against the Blazers. But Klay Thompson played outstanding, and the Warriors cruised to 4-1 wins in both series. However, they ran into Kevin Durant and Russ in the Western Conference Finals, and they struggled against OKC's stifling defense and fast break style, with no one matching up well against KD. They famously fell into a 3-1 deficit and looked like they were about to waste their history-making regular season. However, according to most analysts and those of us that watched that series, when OKC started facing some adversity, Russ tried to take over the games and took many ill-advised shots and turnovers. KD and his follower mentality didn't really do much to demand the ball, and the momentum turned. The Warriors refound their historic offensive rhythm. Klay Thompson hit 11 3-pointers in Game 6, and they came back to win in 7 and advance to the NBA Finals. This series obviously became the catalyst for KD deciding, instead of sitting down with Russ and working out how they were going to handle these late game situations, to join the Warriors, but more on that in a minute. In the Finals,
I still can't believe he did it.
Their by now arch nemesis, the Cleveland Cavaliers, led by their own trio of all-stars in LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. The matchup in this series was obviously focused on the ridiculous all-star firepower of these two teams. Curry really struggled by his standards, and although he had a couple of good games, he didn't shoot the ball well and especially struggled in Game 7, going 6 for 19, including 4 for 14 from 3 and 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter.
Look at Kevin Love's defense.
He was also hunted relentlessly in switches by the Cavs to get him on Kyrie Irving, resulting in Kyrie scoring 41 points in Game 5 and hitting the biggest shot of the series on Steph in Game 7.
Yeah, can we just give him a little more credit? That's all I ever ask for. Can we just give Kyrie the respect he deserves?
Complete the Cavs' historic 3-1 comeback. Now, the most famous question of this series: if Draymond Green doesn't shoot the Warriors in the proverbial and literal
bang,
as he always does, do the Warriors win the series? I think they do personally, but the fact remains, you have to factor in Draymond's poor emotions into his overall profile as a player. And as he continues to lead the league in ejections and technicals every year, and is tied for first with Bobby Portis and teammates sucker punched in the jaw, this becomes a factor in how the Warriors could have won or lost. It just happened, and it is what it is. Now to the Bulls' playoff run. They faced Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway's Miami Heat in the first round, dispatching them in a 3-0 sweep. In the semis...
That's impressive, though, by the way. That was a tough team. Should they have beaten the Bulls? No. But should they have won a game? Probably, man.
They faced their old nemesis, the New York Knicks, and Patrick Ewing. The Bulls dropped Game 3 on the road in overtime 102-99, but went on to win the series 4-1. In the Western Conference Finals, the series Michael Jordan had been hoping and waiting for arrived against the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
Nick Anderson famously stated,
"This is the most impressive thing about the run, in my opinion, was this series."
45 don't look like 23 after stripping MJ the previous year when MJ briefly had changed his number. The Bulls dominated in a 4-game sweep, with Michael Jordan scoring 45 in the closeout game on the road in Orlando. The Bulls went on to advance to the finals against the West #1 seed, the Seattle Supersonics, to face the Defensive Player of the Year that year in Gary Payton and All-Stars Detlef Schrempf and the Rain Man Shawn Kemp. The Bulls dominated the first 3 games, but the Sonics, who went 64-18 themselves, didn't go down without a fight, responding to win the next 2. But the Bulls put on a defensive clinic in Game 6 to win 87-75 and win the championship.
The 87-75, yep. So They slogged the pace down, and that's exactly how I think they would have to beat the Warriors. Just defensively set the tone.
With Jordan winning Finals MVP for the 4th time. So, who gets the edge for the playoffs? Well, the Warriors went 15-9 and finished only as NBA finalists, whereas the Bulls went 15-3 and finished NBA champions. So the Bulls definitely get the edge for the playoffs. Overall record, the Bulls finished with the higher win percentage, going 87-13 with an 870 win percentage. So in 2016, Draymond Green famously called Kevin Durant crying from the parking lot of Oracle, begging him to come to the Warriors after they blew the 3-1 lead, all because he kicked LeBron in the groin. KD, sick of, in his mind, being screwed over by Russell Westbrook's decision-making in the 4th quarters and desperate to win a championship, went and joined the 73-9 Warriors.
Yeah, he did.
Now, this is the team between the two that, despite winning 6 less games in the regular season, many people feel is the best of all time, and you can certainly see why. And again, while I feel Draymond is in no way, shape, or form a Hall of Famer, he most certainly will be, making the Warriors have 4 Hall of Famers on their team that year. In 2016-17, the Warriors went 67-15, blew through most of the West in the playoffs except for the San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi Leonard, who to me looked like the best two-way player in the world that season, was absolutely dominating the Warriors in that first half. Steph was throwing his mouth.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this and thinking Randy Brown might have got some minutes in this series. Because at a certain point, say you've got Harp guarding Steph, you got MJ guarding Clay. Over here, we probably got Pippen, Rodman, Longley. These guys are going to get tired, man. Like, MJ and Ron Harper are going to get a little bit tired after a while. You're going to need some relief, so we're going to need to swap in Randy Brown for Ron Harper occasionally to get some relief. So Jordan can stay on Clay, and you get some relief off of Steph Curry. Just stick a little Randy Brown on him, because he was. A lot of people don't like him, but defensively he would just lock you up. He was on you like glue. So that's all I'm thinking, because I'm thinking, how do we beat this team? Because when you throw in KD, this gets harder. But I think it's still absolutely doable.
Spurs. Kawhi Leonard, who to me looked like the best two-way player in the world that season, was absolutely dominating the Warriors in that first half. Steph was throwing his mouthpiece, the Warriors were falling apart. Kawhi had 26 points in only 24 minutes and was a plus 21. But Zaza Pachulia was sent in, according to conspiracy theorists, by the Warriors coaching staff to take out Kawhi one way or another, and he ended up going under Kawhi's jump shot, rolling his ankle, and knocking him out of the game and the series. The Spurs were up 25 at this time, and the depression and shock of losing their best player immediately flipped the game, and Curry, smelling blood in the water, of course,
ouch, ow,
had a huge second half to lead the comeback. The Warriors ended up with a 2-point win. In my opinion, with Kawhi, the Spurs win that series in 6 or 7, but we will never know. On to the final.
Good point. That's a very valid point.
Where they of course had the rematch with the Cavs' big three of LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving. The Cavs kept a few of the games close and were able to prevent the Warriors from an undefeated postseason. But ultimately, Kevin Durant made the difference, dominating the last 2 fourth quarters, famously hitting several dagger threes while guarded by LeBron. He went on to win Finals MVP and finally capture his elusive championship. Now on to our last 2 categories, mentality and how the teams match up. Now, if any of you think there's any debate about mentality between these 2 teams, respectfully, you're crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's just talk about the 3 best players in each team. Let's compare Steph Curry and Michael Jordan. Steph has a solid mentality, but has come up below his standards in several big series.
Fair enough.
Especially this finals. And he has a tendency to celebrate and front run with celebrations when winning and get frustrated in things like throw his mouthpiece when losing. Now with Michael Jordan, most considered to have the strongest mentality in the history of any sport. Endless positive thinking, and he refuses to let self-doubt into his head.
Most people live in fear because we project the past into the future. Michael's a mystic. He was never anywhere else.
Always in the moment.
His gift was not that he could jump high, run fast, shoot a basketball.
Can I walk in peace?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go. I love you guys.
His gift was that. He was completely present. And that was the separator.
Yeah.
Michael didn't allow what he couldn't control to get inside his head. He would say, why would I think about missing a shot I haven't taken yet?
Garbage. Open up a nice lead.
This is like mindfulness, or, you know, meditation helps me with this, actually. Staying in the moment, getting out of the past and not thinking about the future too much, because that's where all that anxiety and fear comes from. So it helps a lot. Jordan was definitely a master of this. And I have to wonder how much of that goes to crediting Phil Jackson of being such a huge part of his life. Because we know, you know, Phil brought that. That was a big factor of what he was doing. That's why they call him the Zen Master. He was always teaching everyone how to just be present, be here in the moment, get rid of all that negative crap that's going on in your head, and just do what you can do. And Jordan probably got that message better than anybody.
Yeah.
What a switch. MJ can't shoot threes.
Put him away, MJ.
So while Steph has a better mentality than
Put him
some
away, MJ.
superstars, MJ, being the mentality legend he is, gets the obvious edge. Now to Scottie Pippen versus Clay. Scottie was obviously a mentally tough player in the back half of his Bulls career, and he did a lot of dirty work for the Bulls and was always extremely locked in defensively. However, he did have several moments in various finals where he didn't show up offensively, and famously refused to check back into a playoff game in '94.
I got a fun idea. What if, I would do all kinds of stuff if I was Phil Jackson and this was my actual matchup. I would also try Scottie Pippen on Clay. Like, you know, Scottie Pippen on Clay. Why the hell not? Because we got Rodman on Dre. No, I already said this, didn't I? No, because it's hard. This is a hard matchup. Because who's guarding KD again? Damn, man. So no, never mind. I go back to exactly what I said earlier. Never mind. Scottie Pippen staying on KD for sure.
To me, has always had the strongest Robin mentality of any player in the modern era. He was humble enough to never be jealous of Curry's success, always has had accountability and strong interviews. He's always been locked in defensively and mostly showed up in big games, especially Game 6s. He gets knocked a little for his disrespectful comments that help motivate LeBron, but overall, I give the slight edge to Clay over Scottie. The last mentality matchup being Draymond versus Rodman.
And that's a hard one. Offensively, definitely Clay gets the advantage, especially during this time. Defensively, Scottie Pippen gets the points.
This one's pretty simple, with both players having an off-the-charts mentality in terms of being willing to do the dirty work with rebounding, defense, and illegal screens.
This is one of those, hello me, meet the real me moments.
But both, of course, are prone to out-of-control plays on the court. While I think Draymond was a better player in the 2016 finals than Rodman was in the 96 finals, I give this matchup a wash with mentality, with Rodman keeping it more together on the court, but Draymond was huge while Curry was struggling in Game 7.
Mm-hmm. Then it started wearing color contacts during the championship. He started wearing color contacts during the championship with some lip shit on, man. He would be like he was trying to kiss Frank's arm and this shit, and then Frank just couldn't take it, man. The man in him just couldn't allow it.
I'd have lost it.
And Dennis knew what buttons to push, man. And we needed Frank to rebound and shit, man.
So overall,
that's the menace, dude. That's why he's the menace.
Between the best players, I give the Bulls a slight edge, with Jordan's gap over Curry being bigger than Clay's gap over Scottie. And now to the final criteria, matchups. This is obviously a personal perspective, but hey, I've researched these teams thoroughly and I've thought about it a lot.
Okay.
At point guard, we have Ron Harper versus Steph Curry. Now, most of us expect that Scottie Pippen would have guarded Curry.
No.
But just to keep it position for position, a massive edge for the Warriors here.
I mean, okay. If you're talking about the 2016 Warriors, yeah, maybe. You know, honestly, you can have three different guys guarding Curry at different moments. It's going to be a hard thing to do to guard Curry. So Pippen, Jordan, Harper. But once you throw KD into this mix, you got to throw that strategy out the window.
So shout out Ron Harper, who was a two-way monster for the Cavs and Clippers before blowing out his knee.
For sure.
For shooting guard, we have a great matchup between Clay and MJ. Clay's strength as a defender was all-around intelligence and great body control. He could give MJ a few problems on MJ's elbow work by staying down on his patented pump fakes. But MJ still had a crazy first step at this stage, and he would honestly destroy Clay getting to the paint. MJ was the best help defending shooting guard in the league, regularly near the top in steals. But his on-ball defense was very good but not quite elite. Clay would for sure be able to knock down a few threes on MJ, but ultimately, massive advantage to the Bulls at shooting guard. At small forward, like I said, Scotty would probably be guarding Curry. But here we have Harrison Barnes versus Scottie Pippen. Now Harrison Barnes at this time was a solid two-way player, basically a very poor man's Kawhi Leonard, but he was only average from 3, with his main role being to cut when the Splash Brothers were doubled. Pippen was obviously a great all-around offensive player, shooting the 3 a bit, a great passer, and a demon on the break. But his real strength was as an elite on-ball and help defender with his ridiculous length and intelligence.
I know, look at his freaking arms, you guys.
Big advantage to the Bulls here. Next is power forward, where we have Draymond Green versus Rodman. Now, quick disclaimer for both the power forward and center positions, both teams ran small lineups at times with these guys playing center. Rodman brought outstanding rebounding, great hustle, and great on-ball defense, but he was also borderline unplayable at times on offense. But he was highly intelligent and he knew how to set screens and pass well enough to still contribute.
And those offensive rebounds are just so valuable.
Draymond was in his prime this year, knocking down the 3 at almost 38% and brilliantly setting some questionable screens and facilitating when the Splash Brothers were doubled. Despite his soccer impression on LeBron's crotch and calling him the B word, he had a very good finals and was making an outside play for finals MVP with 32 points in Game 7. He is also, of course, one of the best help defenders in the sport and a solid on-ball defender. Slight edge to Draymond here just because of the form he was in that year. Now to center. We have Luke Longley versus Andrew Bogut. Bogut was of course injured for the last 2.5 or so games of the finals, so with the rim protection gone, the Cavs had an assembly line to the rim in the second half of games 5 and 6. He was a great defensive center, but he was not much of a scoring factor for the Warriors, really just there to dunk lobs from Draymond out of Steph double teams.
So a fair match for Luke Longley then, kind of a wash, huh?
Luke Longley had great touch around the rim, was a great passer, and could shoot the mid-range. However, he was only average defensively and would not have provided much rim protection against the Warriors slashers, Iguodala and Barnes. This is probably the closest matchup, so I'll call it a wash.
Nice.
Then we have the bench. The Warriors definitely had the deeper bench, but the Bulls had the biggest offensive threat on either benches with Tony Kukoc. However, after him and Steve Kerr, the Bulls' depth fell off a cliff. The Warriors, on the other hand, had 2 great contributors of their own in Andre Iguodala, who started at times during this run, and Sean Livingston, who was outstanding during the 2-week stretch Steph missed early in these playoffs. Festus Ezeli and Leandro Barbosa each had a couple good games, and for the reason of depth, I give the slight edge to the Warriors bench. Lastly, coaching. As I mentioned before, Steve Kerr is in the unique position to be judged as a player and a coach in this matchup.
Yeah, Phil Jackson all day on this one.
He has always been brilliant at navigating the emotions and egos of Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And while his coddling of Draymond and mishandling of young players has hurt the Warriors more recently, at this time the
I love
NBA
how you keep showing this clip.
was still catching up to his great ball movement and questionable screen play calls. But he was definitely outcoached by Ty Lue in the finals, specifically on Kerr's inability to get Steph more open looks and to protect him on defense from Kyrie, with Clay later remarking that allowing Steph to switch onto Kyrie in Game 7 still haunts him to this day.
Yeah, man, that was a tough series. Man. That's the other biggest regret I have in my basketball career besides getting busted for the weed was switching that pick and roll with Steph, with JR and Kyrie. I still can't, I can't bring myself to watch that footage. It's too uncomfortable, you know? If you watch yourself, I can't believe I just gave him that switch.
That was a big shot.
Now Kyrie got one of the greatest shots in NBA history, and Steph's a great defender too, but I'm just like, man, I can't believe I conceded that switch. It still burns.
On the other hand, you have Phil Jackson, who in his day was the greatest manager of crazy egos and sports narratives in the NBA. While certainly blessed with 3 top 15 all-time talents in MJ, Kobe, and Shaq, 11 championships as a coach speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does.
He was only average in my opinion in coaching offensive X's and O's, with Tex Winter the mind behind the triangle offense.
Agreed.
But where Phil excelled was defense, adjustments, and coaching in big games.
Yeah, and the just team unity,
This to me is far more important than offensive plays, especially when you have elite players like MJ and Pippen running your offense. Definitive edge to the Bulls in coaching. Now let's talk about the matchups for the Warriors 2017 season, where most people feel the team was massively upgraded by adding a top 3 player in the league in Kevin Durant, despite their record going slightly down. Essentially, the Warriors swapped out Andrew Bogut, Harrison Barnes, and half their bench to afford KD. So now you have 4 Hall of Famers, I would argue 3 for not including Draymond, on the Warriors and 3 on the Bulls. The biggest issue for the Bulls with adding Durant is you might have to shift Pippen off of Steph and put him on KD. Personally, with Rodman's solid on-ball defense being somewhat wasted on Draymond, I would probably still have Pippen on Steph and put Rodman on Durant. But for the sake of argument, let's quickly go through the matchups.
Yeah, I thought about that too. And it also depends on if we're playing full lineups or we're playing small ball lineups and what the Warriors are doing too. Because if you can find a way to get Dennis Rodman at center, you open up the door for another defender to come in, like a Randy Brown. Or if you want another offensive threat, you bring in a Tony Kukoc. You got a lot of options with this
season. His shooting ability and length will always be
Steve Kerr too, by the way.
Unstoppable. KD also was pretty locked in defensively for those Warriors years because he was having less responsibility on offense. So I think he would also give Scottie problems on that end. Scottie wasn't a technically gifted scorer, but he was a great all-around offensive player, and he would get into the paint on KD a few times and make some nice passes and lead out some breaks. Still though, definite advantage to the Warriors here. At power forward, we technically would still have Draymond versus Rodman, although I think Harper would be picking up in the actual series. Like I said with the 2016 Warriors, Draymond definitely took a massive backseat when KD came, but he was still capable of playing at a high level in 2017. But with his fall off and lost confidence in his three-point shot, Rodman catches up from 2016 Dre, and I give this matchup more of a wash. For center, we swap out Bogut and bring in a...
I'm giving Rodman the advantage simply because of the rebounding threat. You know, if he's going to go in there and get you 16 rebounds, that is, you know, and 10 of those are going to be offensive, second chance points. I got to give him the advantage on that one, me personally.
A random assortment of bigs for the Warriors who often played without a true center with Draymond and KD as their bigs. So really this should be a Iguodala matchup. Because the Warriors were somewhat positionless, and I still hate Zaza for what he did to Kawhi, who, by the way, like I said, they were up 25 when he did that.
Jeez.
Let's go Iguodala versus Luke Longley just based off of impact. Clear advantage to Iguodala here, who had the NBA Finals of his life in 2015, winning Finals MVP, but he had definitely started to lose his step by this point. But the leadership, all-around two-way play, and somehow seemingly hitting every big corner three shot despite not being that great of a shooter, I give it to Iggy. Now lastly to bench, where the Warriors moved on from several of their bench players to afford KD. The Warriors still have slightly more depth than the Bulls with Sean Livingston, Zaza, Ian Clark, JaVale, and David West.
Yeah.
Livingston wasn't as big a factor as the previous year, but he still played well. With out of this group, only really Ian Clark having a few good games in the playoffs. The Bulls still in my mind had the best player from either bench with Tony Kukoc, but I'll still give the Warriors a slight edge because of their depth. But the two X factors in this series is, while Klay is a good defender, the Warriors have nobody capable of remotely slowing down Michael Jordan.
Yep.
While I feel if Dellavedova gave Curry problems in their series, Scottie Pippen would have definitely given him problems. So for me, that swings the matchup slightly in the Bulls' favor. So in summary, we have regular season, slight edge to the Warriors. Postseason, definitive edge to the Bulls. Mentality, edge to the Bulls. And matchups, slight edge to the Bulls. That's 3-1 for the Bulls.
We agreed.
And that leads to my final series prediction, where MJ keeps his no game sevens and perfect finals record intact, defeating the Warriors 4-2. I did mention at the beginning that we will never truly see these teams play, so we'll never know for sure.
2K simulations are broken as hell, but it's the closest thing we get.
But while researching for this video, I come across this legend right here who set up the 96 Bulls versus the 2017 Warriors to face off in a Game 7 of the finals.
I reacted to this. This is actually what I was referring to. What the hell?
NBA 2K25.
Didn't I? Isn't this the one I reacted to?
Despite being a fantasy video game with no real-life implications whatsoever, people are so invested in this topic that it has over 1 million views.
Wow.
And hell, I clicked on it excitedly myself. If you want to watch it, I'll put it in the description.
Awesome.
But I thought I'd show you the last 3 plays because I think it's about how the series would end. MJ gets a huge bucket to put the Bulls up 2 by posting up Klay. Steph then comes down and hits a crazy off-balance 3 to go up by 1 with 1 second left. But of course, you all know how it had to end.
No way.
With MJ hitting a crazy contested mid-range at the buzzer to win the championship.
Bang!
Thank you guys so much for watching. I've seen some crazy blasphemous takes on this topic, some saying it would be a sweep for either side.
Nah, no way.
I do think the Warriors would really struggle with the Bulls' suffocating defense, but the Bulls would struggle with the Warriors' modern spacing. I tried to bring some objectivity, and we can all appreciate the sheer commitment to excellence and focus it took for both these teams to achieve these seasons in a grueling 82-game schedule and playoffs. If you guys would like, comment, and hype the video, I'd be really grateful. Obviously, with YouTube not consistently sending videos to subscribers in their recommended, please consider becoming a member to support so I can continue to put a lot of time into these videos. Thanks again, guys. Much love. I leave you with some thoughts from MJ about their season.
And don't forget, hit that bell if you guys want to get notified for his videos.
Peace.
70-9 on the season. The Lakers, of course, had the 69-13. Now Michael goes over and Reds, partner, what does it mean?
Well, I think it's a successful comeback for myself and for the organization. I mean, last year we went through some disappointments at the end of the season, and we vowed to come back and get ourselves back on top. And this is just one step. I must admit, we didn't start the season and say, hey, we're going to win 70 games. We start the season and say we're going to win a championship. Yep. We're halfway there right now.
Are you glad it's over?
Halfway there right now.
Now that the 70-
halfway there right now, and the regular season was all but over. That's just halftime.
Is attained?
Yeah, I'm glad. And now we can focus on the playoffs, which is the most important thing right now.
All right, get in the locker room, take a shower. Great work.
Again, the Bulls fan that I was, and with MJ saw a great quote where somebody said, MJ, if the 72-10 Bulls played the Warriors with KD, who would win? And he said, we would by 2-3 points. Yeah. And they said, why so little? He says, because we're 60. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And that was a great line too. I was like, wow.
That is a great line. That's Byron Scott. Oh man, great video by Eric Smith, you guys. Yeah, like I said in the intro, 1.7 thousand subscribers, not right. That's not right. It's just some things in this world are not right, and that's one of them, in my opinion. This is one of the better basketball channels available on YouTube, in my opinion. But Eric Smith launched his channel during a time where YouTube was in massive, people who were 10-year veterans on YouTube with millions of subscribers were getting terrible views, And I mean, here I am so thankful, near 100,000 subscribers, and some videos I get 500 views. Am I complaining? No, I'm very thankful that, so many of you have decided to subscribe to my channel. But I'm saying if I can barely survive it, and I got a year a year ahead of Eric Smith. By the time Eric got in, I was just like, damn, I can't let this channel die. This guy, he knows what he's talking about, and he's making great content. So I really hope you guys do go down there and subscribe and check out his vids, all that good stuff, because it has become incredibly difficult to survive on YouTube now. And I'm sure you're sick of us YouTubers talking about it. I'm not talking about it to complain. I'm just letting you know it is as bad as everybody is saying it is. It's very, very hard now. So, guys, if you want to see Eric Smith, keep rocking, get down there, give him some support. A view, a like, a hype, all that stuff helps out a lot. And hit that bell if you want to get notified for his videos or my videos. I thought he did a great breakdown there, and I thought it was awesome that we both agree. At the end of the day, he thinks 6 games, Bulls in 6. I think Bulls in 6 too. Anybody who says it's going to be a sweep, and they're serious about it, I don't know, that's a little too much bias in my mind. Yeah, the Bulls defense is going to smother the Warriors offense. However, a team that has Clay and Steph, 2 of those 6 games, they aren't going to miss. They had those games all the time. So 2 of those games, no matter what kind of defense you throw at them, they're going to hit so many threes that the Bulls can't come back. But there's no way in hell they're doing that 4 games in a row, which is why I say there's no way they can actually beat the Bulls. The defense in the end is going to just destroy the Warriors' confidence throughout the series. But I give them those 2 wins because, the shot's going to hit a couple of times throughout the series. There's just no stopping it. But honestly, at the end of the day, yeah, it's the Bulls. It's got to be that Bulls team. That Bulls team was not going to lose for anything, no matter what challenge was thrown their way. So, anyways, you guys, I am out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. I'll see you all in the comments. Like the vid on the way out if you haven't done it yet. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this. And like I said, you can hit that bell if you want to get notified and all that good stuff. I appreciate you all very much. And thank you. Shout out to the members. Appreciate you all. And be water, my friends.